Are you ready to be motivated and challenged? If you are, you're going to love my next guest. Jason E.P. Johnson has a passion to see people come into relationship with Jesus Christ, and also for those who are already Christ followers to experience the power of God in their daily lives and have an incredible journey from now until the day we depart the world. Jason recently has released his first book, Only Ever, Discovering Big Picture Purpose in Your Life Journey. Jason, welcome to 100 Huntley Street.
Well, thank you very much for having me today.
A fellow Albertan from the great city of Calgary.
Yeah, you got to love that place.
Now, I want to get into your story because it really affects your passion to see people really experience the fullness of Christ and by the power of God. You were a guy that was doing a lot of searching, and I guess it was a country song. You were searching in all the wrong places.
And I ended up in Alberta.
In Alberta, yeah, there you go.
Well, I didn't have a lot of experience with charismatic churches growing up. In fact, I had none. And but I always had this like pull inside of me, this kind of push inside of me, I recognized it as emptiness, a void, but I couldn't describe it. I was just too young to describe it. But I would always ask people just a little bit older than me, a little bit ahead of me in life. I would say, you know, what makes you happy? What's our purpose here on life? I was curious, and I was hungry for some kind of answer in life. And of course, at a young age, I started asking teenagers a little bit older than me, and they were well-intentioned, nice guys, but they were into drugs and alcohol. So that's what they introduced me to.
So you get into trouble, you get into fights. I think you even been put in jail. Yeah.
Keep that one on the down low.
Okay,
no,
yeah.
Just kidding.
Just we're on national television. But you were passionately searching for something.
Absolutely.
And you're getting in trouble. You were looking at other religions even.
Yes, the drugs and alcohol sort of led to other bad life decisions, and I was in trouble, with the law. I had a lot of behavioral issues. I wouldn't let anybody tell me what to do, even though I was still looking. And so as I kept searching, teachers in my life would say, what you need to do is go out and get an education. And so I worked really hard. I went and got a university degree. I would work at night, go to school during the day, and was really ambitious to achieve that. Once I achieved it and graduated, here's the sad part, is that I never even went to my ceremony. I never walked across that epic stage because honestly, I was just disappointed. I was like, I worked this hard and this is it. There's nothing here to quell this void that I feel inside of me. So I continued my search. I realized it wasn't in the drugs and alcohol. It wasn't in the education. So I kept asking people, what makes you happy? What's your purpose in life? And people would say, what you need to do is you need to make some money. You need to find a great job and have resources. And you can just sort of buy that void, that emptiness. You can buy it away. And so I went out, got a great job, making all kinds of money. Honestly, for a young man with very little responsibility, I had no real payments. And I was working in the U.S., making U.S. dollars, bring it up to Canada, deposit it in my account, and it would go up by 35%.
Yeah, right.
And here's what I learned about money is that it only amplified what was already in my heart to do. So honestly, I have nothing to show for it.
So you were looking somewhat successful. Your
Yes.
family, friends, hey, Jason's doing great, but inside there's a struggle. You're just not feeling you're finding your place.
I kept searching. I kept asking people a little bit older, what makes you happy? What's the purpose in life? And they would say, we need to find your soulmate. I think that's what you're missing. You need to find your other half, your better half, as we call it. And so I dated a girl for 2 years, and we really did our best. We really tried to have a good, healthy relationship. You got to remember, I don't know Christ. So I basically am loving her the way that I understand love. And my understanding of love was, I love you because you make me feel ...
So your early 20s, you're getting into some trouble, you're making some money, you're traveling the world, you're investigating spiritual things.
Yes, one of the other major avenues that I went down is I decided that I would travel the world. I backpacked around the world for about 3 years, living out of a backpack.
Whoa, okay.
I hit a lot of different countries, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being in countries where I don't speak the language, I don't understand the culture. That sense of adventure brought me some happiness. And I would experience, I'd participate in Hindu rituals, and I can remember reading books and practicing meditations in Buddhism. And I even allowed a gentleman to teach me and mentor me a little bit in that. I was really looking for something. And of course, with the backpacking lifestyle comes a whole lot of other adventures, extreme sports, and that kind of lifestyle. So I was really looking for something. And I sort of arrived at this time in my life where I'm 25 years old and I'm kind of out of ideas. It wasn't in the drugs and alcohol. It wasn't in the education. It wasn't in the relationship, and it wasn't in the money, and it wasn't even in the travel, but I was out of ideas. I had started to become sort of helpless. I wasn't suicidal, but I was out of ideas. I'm like, somebody please tell me what the purpose of life is, because I feel like I don't know which avenue to turn down now. And so here I am living in Redondo Beach, California, on my travels. You know, whenever I needed money, I would just stop in the US, work a bit, get some money, and then keep traveling around. And I probably hit, you know, when I was backpacking, probably a little bit over 20-some different countries. So here I am in Redondo Beach, and I hear this voice. And I'm asleep, and I shoot up in my bed, just shoot up straight like an L. And
Like a voice, you heard it in your head? Do you think it was audible, or?
I wish I could describe it to you better.
Okay.
It just happened so fast. I
Okay.
don't know for sure.
Okay.
I don't know if it was in my head or it was an audible or it was just kind of, you know, that what we say in our hearts.
Sure.
But it said, go to Calgary. And now, I don't know God at all. I think he's an old guy with a long gray beard, and he hasn't talked to anyone since World War II. So I'm thinking,
Okay.
this must be my instinct, right?
Yeah.
And you got to remember, I had traveled 3 years backpacking around the world. What I felt like was guided by instinct.
Yeah.
And so I trusted my instinct. So I said, okay, whatever life experience is waiting for me in Calgary, I'll go pursue it. So I moved up to Calgary. I didn't plan to stay. I already had a fishing job lined up in Alaska, so I'd only planned to go for my short, usual 4 or 5 months, and then away I go. And I didn't know really anybody in Calgary. I knew one person. I moved in with him. And between my gym that I went to every day back then and my house in Calgary, there was this little kind of retro-looking church.
Okay, we're going to tell you what happened as you go by this little retro church in
Yeah.
Calgary, Alberta. When we come back, stay with us on 100 Huntley Street.